We're going to be talking about these insurance companies in Florida, and really this extends out to anywhere in the U.S., but a lot is focused on Florida. Just some things that I picked up from people sending me their policy. We've had 2 hurricanes that hit us in Florida, and there's some really shady and sneaky stuff going on with these insurance companies. So we're going to get into this. It all has to do around this right to repair. So my name is Mike Keeler. I'm a licensed public adjuster in the state of Florida. Public adjusters, if you're not familiar, we represent you, the homeowner, property owner, to try and get you the money that you need to repair your property. Now, a lot of times what happens is these insurance companies do not want to pay, or they'll hide behind the policy and use the policy to either pay you very little or deny your claim. That's what public adjusters do. It's best to hire one from the start. However, it's better late than never if you start the claim and then hire one. Okay, so let's get into this policy. This is what we call, this is American Integrity in Florida. Okay. Now, what I want to show you is, as I was looking over and just trying to find out, okay, what this person had as far as a deductible for their hurricane, right? You take a look at stuff when you're a public adjuster, because these insurance companies cannot be trusted. And so you look at, something else that caught my attention. Again, I've experienced this special form that draws a little bit. I see this, the exterior paint waterproofing exclusion. It's crazy. Limitations on roof coverage, so I always want to pay attention to that. I'm not going to cover that, but because I know that has to do with hurricane. All right, so you always got to look at these forms and endorsements. Sometimes they don't tell the whole story, but they'll give you a snapshot. So then I'm just going through this, and I always look at another place. And let me just point this out. So where I found what we're going to be talking about today, it was in Section 1 conditions. And this is a change of policy terms, and they never mentioned what I'm going to show you. And this was never on their policy a year ago. So it's interesting. So let's go down to conditions number 1. And this is where I advise everybody to kind of take a sneak peek. If you're in Florida or other places, to see if this applies to you, you have to look at the beginning. And here it is. All right, I've already circled everything beforehand to get ready for this video. So as you start going through this, you look at insurable interest, duties after loss, okay, loss settlement. I'm going through this and just going through. I usually like to see what we have for mediation or appraisal too. Kind of gives me a strategy on how to prepare this claim from the start. But then I noticed this one. I'm like, what? I've never seen this before on American Integrity Policy. So our option, highlighted, if we give you written notice when 30 days after we receive your signed proof of loss, signed sworn proof of loss, for actual cash value basis, we may repair. Let me highlight this. Okay, let me highlight this. We may repair or replace any part of that damaged property with material or property of like kind and quality. Now, what this means in plain English, they can hire and use any contractors they want, and they can put in whatever type of materials that they want, that they view to be like, kind, and quality. So if you have shingle roof, they can put in shingles. If you have cabinets, they can put in cabinets. Now, they can put in lower grade cabinets, and you'll never know if you have higher grade cabinets or more expensive cabinets. It goes on. Then for the replacement cost settlement, right here, okay? Let me get rid of this, do a different highlight. For replacement costs, okay? We may repair the damaged property with material like kind and quality without a deduction for depreciation. So all that is, when you're talking about replacement costs, that they'll just give you the depreciation. Now, actual cash value means that they take the depreciation. All right. So this is a big deal, because you never want the insurance company to repair your home. You never want to use an insurance company contractor for anything. Water mitigation, mold, any repairs, put a tarp on your roof, put a new roof. It doesn't matter. You do not want to use them because they're utilizing cheaper labor and cheaper products. Okay, so let's take a look at the second policy. This is both this week that I found these. All right. This is a company called Frontline in Florida. This is a client that contacted me in Tampa. He sent me his policy. Of course, as I normally do, I look through it. Notices of changes. Let's take a look here. Right, okay, let's see, what are they trying to scam us on now? Usually my first thought. People don't read this, and I'm gonna talk about this in greater detail. But you know, some of the stuff like hurricane, these companies are being ridiculous. But then as I started looking through this, I noticed this part right here. Looking through it, duties. Now, again, you've got to know what to look for. So loss settlement comes up, and I'm going through. I'm like, wow, this is pretty long. Mediation or appraisal. Like they changed the policy there. That's now 6 pages. Suit against us. And then this one, our option. I'm like, what the hell is this? So this is all new stuff they just put into their new policy for this year. At our option, in lieu of issuing any lost payment, if we choose to exercise our option, actual cash value, basically it says the same thing as the other policy I showed you. We can repair it with like, kind, or quality. Okay, here it is again. With material, like, kind, or quality. Replacement costs. Okay, this one's replacement costs, right? Talk about it here for the replacement costs. Same thing with material. Without a deduction of depreciation. Now, here's where this becomes important. Now, there's a few legal ways we could probably get around this. I'm not an attorney, obviously, but I just know based on some things. But this is important. So if you file a claim and your insurance company has this, look, you may not realize this. So once they inspect the house, they have to give you within 30 days, they have to invoke their right to repair the property. Now, you can disagree with their scope of damage, on pricing of something, on the square feet of something, on measurements of something, on the type of materials they want to use. There's all these different avenues. When you disagree with the scope, that could potentially get around this. You have to talk to an attorney on this. I said potentially. Of course, a lawsuit would have to be filed. There would have to be a hearing on this. But essentially, that's what we're dealing with. These insurance companies in Florida are changing their policies, not letting you know. So let's wrap this up. I try to tell people all the time, you are crazy to try and handle a homeowner's claim by yourself. I always give examples, some of my videos, of the policy language. People, there are over 50 pages in your homeowner's insurance policy. Your auto policy is probably 4 pages. Your homeowner's policy has special provisions, right? They change the policy and the word and the verbiage every year, and you may not know. there's all kinds of landmines from exclusions and limitations. And as I showed you in the example of the first policy, right? Of some type of limitation on the roof coverage, limitation, or how they define hurricane. Like, Florida's nuts. Florida's crazy. The insurance companies here and what they can get away with is absolutely nuts. It's almost, I think, at the point where you have to weigh in if you own a home. Is it worth having insurance? That's a financial question you have to ask yourself. But these type of situations I want to point out because it's devastating for homeowners. And the office, every time insurance companies change their policy, it has to be passed usually through the Office of Insurance Regulation. Now, your state may not call it OIR, Office of Insurance Regulation. That's what we do here in Florida. But your state has something similar. Department of Insurance, some states have, but they just let these insurance companies run rapid and wild and change policy language and limit the amount of coverage that you get and raise the premiums you have to pay. There's a perfect example of how they are shady and sneaky in Florida. This is why we are 2 years past Hurricane Ian. We just had 2 new hurricanes in Helene and Milton. From Ian, there's still 50,000 lawsuits pending because the insurance companies don't want to pay people. Milton and Helene, why they don't have nowhere near the amount of wind damage from Hurricane Ian 2 years ago. There's storm surge and flooding. And so these companies are able to put language, and you have to get somebody that knows about these policies so that you don't basically jeopardize your claim, which could happen, and you end up with very little or a denied claim for something that you said or that you didn't know about that maybe you had to do within the policy. So again, my name is Mike Keeler. I'm a licensed public adjuster in the state of Florida. If you have any questions or need help with a claim, this is my contact information on how you can get a hold of me. Thank you.